Since the Philosopher's Stone was first released back in 1997, Harry Potter has gone on to become one of the world's most iconic franchises. The release of the Deathly Hallows Part 2 marks the final adventure for the boy who lived. The end is in sight. Accio review. Get it? Because we're summoning the review. Never mind. Taking control of Harry and friends, you'll be hunting down the final Horcruxes that contain the soul of he who shall not be named before taking down the Dark Lord once and for all. As a third-person cover-based shooter, you'll find yourself moving between cover and taking down the Dark Lord's minions with a variety of spells, with the occasional downtime coming from moments where you'll run towards the camera while things are thrown at you. What you're left with is a game that even the most die-hard fan of the franchise would find as fun as a bludger to the face. It may be a film tie-in, but it's still unfortunate that they couldn't give the series a worthy send-off. Instead of creating something so bad, the experience will leave you more broken than a wrong turn down Nocturne Alley. The choice of genre is easily the most confusing aspect about the game. How many Harry Potter fans can honestly say they'd rather cast their way through hordes of identical-looking enemies? What about skimming through nondescript parts of Hogsmeade and Hogwarts rather than explore them in all their glory? Deathly Hallows Part 2 smacks of the creators trying to fit Harry Potter in and around the third-person shooting, especially as there's no real difference between any of the characters you play as, with the exception, however, of good old Professor McGonagall. The boss fights are lame, the spells are dull, it's just flat-out lacking the magic of the Harry Potter franchise.
You are a coward, Severus.
If you need a tip to defend yourself against the dark arts, there's one spell that's a wand above the rest, Protego. Not only does it create a shield that helps you move from one piece of cover to the next, it can also reflect spells back towards those pesky Death Eaters. Time it just right, and it will generate a paralysing shockwave, allowing you to make a break for it if you're in a bind. It's not advisable to overuse it, though, as it needs to recharge whenever it breaks.
We're close to the vault.
Most would call this Gears of War with wands, but we'd rather compare it to Eat-led Return of Matt Hazard. Both games are less than satisfactory takes on the third-person shooter that hardly innovate and leave you grossly disappointed. But hey, at least you'll have a good old laugh at their expense. Sadly, while Eat-led has some genuinely hilarious moments that make up for the experience, Deathly Hallows Part 2's laughs are all unintentionally cringe-worthy moments of incredibly dire and repetitive voice acting that you'll hear every few seconds. Ugh!
Are you kidding? Just about everything in this place is dangerous.
So, what else is wrong? Well, you'll almost find yourself having fun for the first level, but then realise that same experience is dragged out every level with boring run-towards-the-camera moments thrown in. The lack of a melee option where you're flanked and the fact that there are more unique playable characters than types of enemies just makes the game feel lazy and in need of repair.
It would seem that you have a security problem, and I'm afraid it's rather extensive.
So for all the cons, at least we can take salvage in the fact that you might get some good unintentional laughs from the dialogue, might. Whilst we're on the praise train, having the spells mapped to different buttons makes for decidedly dynamic item management as well. But after a long, hard think, those are all the pros we could come up with after the 5-hour-long story mode, which feels more torturous than the Crusader's Curse. Though at least there won't be any more Harry Potter games now the series is over, right?
What's that? Up ahead! I should have known!
Riphook, what is that?
The final adventure of the boy who lived is one that even the most casual of gamers will struggle to enjoy, let alone any of his fans. Put down your wands and shred your letter to Hogwarts. This is one to avoid.
You won't win!